The wind felt different that morning. Thick, damp, and heavy, like a bruise pressing against the memory. In the emerald highlands of Puerto Esperanza, a small republic that marketed itself to the world as the land where time stands still, a village called Santa Aurelia held its breath. It was the kind of place where stray dogs slept in the middle of the road, where coffee beans dried on tarps by the roadside, and where the loudest sound after sunset was the echo of crickets in the valley. At sunrise, 2 newlyweds checked in at a mountaintop guest house. By dusk, only one was seen again. By midnight, a nightmare had fully taken shape. Their names were Luis Romero, 31, and Camila Duarte, 28. A young couple whose smiles had the easy warmth of people still tasting the glow of wedding champagne. Just a week before, they'd exchanged vows in the bustling capital of Puerto Esperanza. Luis, a civil engineer known for his gentle humor. Camila, a freelance illustrator with eyes that caught light like mirrors. They were beautiful in the way only people in love can be. After the whirlwind of ceremonies and family toasts, they had chosen Santa Aurelia for their honeymoon. A sleepy escape, with cobblestone streets, hanging orchids, and the famed gorge of San Telmo, where mist clung to the air like breath on a winter window. Travel magazines called it paradise suspended in the clouds. The guest house owner remembered their arrival. Luis carrying the bags, Camila snapping pictures on her phone, the two laughing as they signed the registry. They were assigned cabin trace, perched on the cliffside, with an unobstructed view of the gorge. But fairy tales have endings for a reason, and this one was about to run out of pages. Please click on the subscribe button, it will really be appreciated. By early afternoon, clouds began to swell over the ridge. Locals would later say the sky looked wrong that day, that the wind had a metallic edge to it. At 6:17 p.m., a piercing cry shattered the quiet. Someone was calling for help near the gorge. The municipal police of Santa Aurelia weren't used to emergencies bigger than a drunken brawl. But when the call came in, "You need to come," something went very wrong. The urgency in the woman's voice jolted them into motion. 3 officers drove the winding, paved road that sliced through the jungle. By the time they reached the guest house, night was already creeping in. The place was unnervingly dark. Curtains drawn tight. No lights. And the smell, something metallic, something wrong, hung in the air. They tried the door to cabin trace. It opened without resistance. Inside, a pool of deep crimson spread across the threadbare carpet. Camila lay collapsed near the threshold, gasping, her breaths ragged and shallow. She clutched at her stomach, as if trying to hold herself together. Her first word was hoarse, desperate. "Luis." Officers fanned out. A flashlight beam swept across overturned furniture, a shattered glass, and muddy footprints leading toward the rear balcony. When they reached the cliff's edge, their stomachs dropped. 50 meters below, illuminated by the thin glow of a security lamp, was Luis Romero's body, broken, twisted at unnatural angles. His head rested against a boulder, his face frozen in something between pain and disbelief. The initial theory was simple. Perhaps Luis had slipped. The gorge path could be treacherous, especially after rain. But something about the scene gnawed at the lead investigator, Detective Rafael Ibarra. Luis's body wasn't where it should have been if he'd fallen from the balcony. And there was too little mud on his clothing for someone who had just tumbled down a moss-slick cliff. When confronted with the allegations, Camila's expression didn't crumble. If anything, it hardened. "I loved him," she said quietly. "I would never hurt him." But the evidence was a rising tide. Bank records showed large withdrawals in the weeks leading up to the trip. The men identified her in a photo lineup. Forensic analysis revealed grit and fibers from cabin trace on Luis's clothing, but no plant matter from the gorge, meaning he hadn't fallen from the cliff in the way she claimed. The most damning piece came from a grainy hotel security video, timestamped just 30 minutes before Luis's body was found. In it, Camila is seen handing one of the hooded men a thick envelope. The trial gripped Puerto Esperanza like a fever. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse, holding signs that read Justicia para Luis. Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of sweat and old wood. Witnesses wept. Forensic experts spoke in clinical monotones. The 3 men took the stand, their voices low, their eyes fixed on the floor. The prosecution painted Camila as cold, calculating, and manipulative. A woman who saw her husband not as a partner, but as an obstacle. When the verdict came, it was swift. Guilty on all counts: premeditated murder, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. The judge's voice was unflinching as he pronounced her sentence. You will spend the rest of your natural life in prison. May the valleys you have stained with blood never see your shadow again. Santa Aurelia returned to its quiet routines. Tourists still came for the orchids and the gorge, unaware, or unwilling to ask, about the cabin perched on the cliff. Camila disappeared into the gray walls of San Teodoro Women's Penitentiary, where she became just another number. But the story lingered, in coffee shops, in family kitchens, in the restless dreams of those who'd followed the case. Because this wasn't just about a woman killing her husband. It was about how quickly love can be twisted by resentment, how paradise can become a prison, and how trust, once shattered, leaves nothing but sharp edges. And maybe somewhere deep down it was about all of us. The masks we wear, the secrets we keep, and the dangerous belief that the people closest to us could never mean us harm. The moral is simple but merciless. Love without respect becomes possession. And possession, once threatened, can turn deadly. So be careful with your heart. And more careful still, with the hearts you let hold it. Subscribe to True Crime Uncovered for more intriguing stories.